the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on this Tuesday. We're glad that you've joined us, wherever it is that you're tuning us in, and we're glad that you make us one of your places to catch up with all things Auburn. Randy, good to see you this morning. Hey, look, I said I was going to do this yesterday for Butch, and I'm calling Butch out, one of our buddies. If everybody wants to know why Auburn moved on to the Sweet 16, it's because Butch and I busted out our 1996 pullovers. And if any of you from back in the day remember this pullover, it's one of the few things I got from working at Auburn Athletics, and somehow it is in pretty good condition. Number one. Number two, I can still fit in it, which is also unbelievable. And number three, I can't believe I didn't put it on. It just didn't rip on the seams. But man, these Russell garments, Randy, they were top-notch quality, man. But I had to wear it today because of you being on here.
Well, okay, first and foremost, I love Ellick City. I love growing up at the time that you and I had the blessing of growing up in Ellick City when Russell was booming. So to see that garment kind of more than anything goes back to how great a company that was at one time. You know, look, I had the good fortune of playing a lot of high school ball, and people ask me all the time now, they're like, gosh, can you believe how much money it costs for this kid to play high school baseball? Or can you believe how much money it costs that we have to raise for our kid to play high school football? And I say, y'all, I'm sorry. When I tell you we were spoiled down rotten, I mean, we were spoiled rotten in Ellick City. We had brand new practice uniforms. They tested all the uniforms on us. They just brought boxes and boxes. One of my favorite Richie Brooks stories ever, Brett, is Russell Athletic brought a box full of printed T-shirts that I don't think he knew was coming up to practice that day. And They were just dropped off, printed up, nice, had this really cool design, the same one that they still do now that has the baseball design. But
oh, yeah.
Dropped them off, and this was your senior year in high school, and we were taking infield. And I'm gonna veer off for a second here. This is a great story. And so we were taking infield, and our good friend Greg Benson was at third base, and he shit 3 balls in a row. I mean, they went right through his legs, or he threw it over first base.
I hope he's watching. I hope he tunes us in.
He remembers this.
I know he does. I know he does.
So, and Richie Brooks back in the day, one of, if not my favorite coach ever, was so rough on us. I mean, these kids now just have no earthly idea. I say he was pissing vinegar, and he was. Back in that time, he was young.
He really was.
He was getting after it. And if you didn't run a round of infield like Sammy Dunn did at Vestavia, then he was upset. And man, we'd work and work and work on it. And he took that box. They brought that box up there full of them T-shirts, and he had that fungo bat. And he beat that box with that fungo bat until the darn shirts and the bat and the box and everything looked rough. And he came over and said, damn, y'all get everything. You get everything given to you. Richie, I don't know that he's cussed, because our coaches didn't cuss at us ever back then. They really didn't. And but he said, y'all get everything you could ever want in this program. You get all these goods. Heck, I don't even know this is coming. There's these box full of T-shirts I got to give out to y'all that Russell's brought over here. Do y'all know how good y'all have it here? And so seeing that garment you have on brings back memories like that, Brett. I mean, it does. To watch, and I don't want to go political on this, but I will, because I'm still in the textile business and the apparel business. To see the way that manufacturing has left this country and left communities like mine and your beloved Ellick City high and dry, where we had 8,000 employees at one time at Russell Athletic in Alexander City alone. Mm-hmm. To if there's a couple of hundred left there, and most of them are Spalding employees now, there's nothing there. And then we wonder why we're in the position that we're in, because we've made ignorant, stupid decisions over the years that have gotten us where we are. And I'll get off my soapbox, but I love that garment you've got on. I bet there's a Russell tag on the back.
There is. There absolutely is.
There's a Russell Nate tag on the back. I haven't even seen it, and I remember.
There it is. There it is, man.
I mean,
that's what made it, man, and it was specifically for Auburn. So, yeah, I didn't want to put on a fashion show this morning, but I had to do. Look, brought the thing. I have not worn this thing until Saturday in 20 probably years, and Butch said was bringing up old stuff right there before the game, and I said, well, hell, I'm just going to put it on. I said it couldn't hurt anything. If I can go in there and it doesn't tear up, and had to go find it first, and then I found it, and then we won and moved on to Sweet 16, and then Butch put his on, and then we sent a video. I said, hey, we ain't taking this off. We'll be wearing this. If I go to Atlanta this weekend, I think if we make it to the Elite Eight, I'm going to try to go. I'm probably going to wear this. And I'm like, look, and people can be like, where'd you get that? But, all the old vintage stuff's coming back, Randy. I know we got to get on to business, but all the old vintage stuff, shirts and stuff, man, that's what everybody wants now. There's no telling what this thing would bring.
Oh, there's no more. We don't have to get on anything outside of this topic because, trust me, anybody of our generation knows what we're talking about.
Right.
Now, if you're Braden's age, you have no feelings at all about that garment that Brett's got on.
None.
Our generation, that's Russell Athletic, and that's right up the road. And that's where I started every conversation with, where are you from? Well, I go to Ben Russell, and that's where Russell Athletic. You're damn right. That's where it is.
That's
and everybody out there, that's where Lake Martin is. You're damn right. That's where it is. And we had some pretty good leadership to get us to be able to feel that good about where we are. But
right.
Back to what I said, man, I'm telling you, some of the decisions we've made in this country will make you pull your every waking hair out of your head. And that garment you're wearing I love that garment, but it disgusts me to know what has happened in our community since that garment was made.
Yeah, that's right. And I'll say this: it's a good thing to see what Trump's doing to get all these companies to come back to the United States.
Hey,
And you have to turn things around at some point in time. You keep going down a road to nowhere, and you keep going. Well, this is our new destination. It doesn't have to be, and you can spin things around and get them back going in your favor. And look, that'll be the last thing I say. But I had to bring out the old mojo, man. So it's one of those deals. And we got some comments coming in. We're going to get to those. Faith says she wants one of these. I think everybody would. I mean, who wouldn't want this thing, man? I mean, it's quality. It's good. So, yeah, Justin, I got you, brother. I'll make sure it's good for Friday. I promise you I'll have it on. DJ said, do y'all think my Terps got any realistic shot of beating Florida? Born and raised in Baltimore myself. If you don't believe they do, it won't hurt my feelings. No, I mean, look, here's the deal. And I said this, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to let you give your take, Randy. I think Florida played its worst game. I don't think you're going to get Florida, that version of Florida again in this tournament. Every time a team makes a run, or a highly ranked team, or a team that's playing really good basketball, they're going to have to rough through a game. And that one they played against UConn, they didn't shoot the ball at the free throw line well. They didn't shoot it from outside well. They trailed most of the game. They were in trouble, but they ramped up their defense, and Walter Clayton Jr. took over the last 5 minutes. Maryland, on the other hand, had a last-second shot. They had the only March Madness game of this tournament that we are used to seeing in a first or second round. But they're riding some mojo, and that was a big win for them. So I think Florida's a 6.5 point favorite in that game. DJ, look, when you get to the Sweet 16, everybody's got a chance. That's what I'm going to say. Now, am I going to take Maryland? No. I think Florida wins the game because I think they get back to their old form. But, hey, look, you made it to the Sweet 16, and you're riding a little bit of momentum going into that game.
Well, I picked Florida to win it, and I didn't do it happily. I only picked it that way because of the way Auburn was playing going into this tournament. After this game, I feel like Auburn's got a much better chance, especially if Tahad plays that way, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But Florida's still the best team out there. My two eyes have seen the last 2 or 3 weeks heading into this tournament. Until they get beat, I'm gonna stick with that. Here's the thing, though. The more really good coaches scheme for a team and the next game they have coming up watches the scheme that was played
Sure.
that caused problems, you're not going to play anybody moving forward that's not going to be coached up by the Stephen Pearls and the Ira Bowmans and the Bruce Pearls of the like. I mean, everybody that gets to this point's got guys that can pick strengths and weaknesses with teams. So I say that about Florida is I don't watch Florida play like I did UConn last year and go, man, I don't know how you scheme up to beat them. I don't watch that.
No,
Because
they're vulnerable. They're
I don't
vulnerable.
think Florida is by far. I don't think Florida's got the inside presence. They got some big guys, but I'm talking about from the offensive end. I
Right.
don't watch Florida and go that they're one of the best offensive teams I've ever seen in the inside. So all you got to do is just make difficult shots and hope that Florida's not hitting the way that they have been in that SEC tournament. And so I'm hopeful. Look, I was sitting there
No
in
doubt.
an AAU gym with my son playing, and every one of us were Auburn fans sitting over there watching our kids play. And trust me, we all had our phones out, hoping they'd get the hell out of there. I mean, we all
Ain't no
want
doubt.
Florida. We want Florida out of this thing.
To heck with everybody's bracket. I don't care. I want them out.
So, I mean, Maryland is a very well coached team, and they are rugged. I like the way Maryland plays. I enjoy watching them. So,
Right.
they can win an ugly game. Every team left can do that.
Let's go through these matchups, and let's start on Thursday. BYU and Alabama. Look, and I know everybody that's an Alabama fan that's watching is going to say, well, he's just saying that because look, it is what it is. Alabama had about one of the easiest routes to get to this point that you could get. Robert Morris. Now I know it gave them problems, but I mean, it's Robert Morris. And then St. Mary's, and this is no offense, but Lord have mercy, man. I thought Creighton was the Church League All-Stars that we played until they ran on the floor. And I was like, that is a bunch of guys that all they can do is shoot a three. And when they couldn't hit one, I'm like, this game's over. So, I mean, athletically comparable to Alabama, it wasn't even close. Now, again, Alabama, they draw who they draw. But that route they've got, and then now BYU, and BYU's a good team, and I'm not diminishing anything, but athletically they're going to be overmatched once again. I mean, everybody's route's different, but, man, this is not some gauntlet they're having to run over there, I promise you.
Well, let's be honest about it. I think if you had to go back and you had to set up two brackets for Auburn and Alabama to make it to the Final Four, we picked the matchups that we have. Look, we may lose to Michigan, and they may lose to BYU, but I think.
No, I'm not saying ours isn't a world beater either.
I know. I think ours is pretty easy too. Now we can lose to any of these teams. I thought Creighton was a pretty good team, but Auburn is a lot better team if we're playing up to the standard.
There's no doubt. No doubt.
And then I've watched Michigan quite a bit this year because I'm such a Trey Donaldson fan. I love Trey Donaldson, and I'm proud for him. And I loved him when he was at Auburn, and you did too.
Right.
Did
you see Chad Baker Mazar's reaction when he found out they're playing Trey?
No.
And he in the locker room, and a reporter said Michigan just won, and he said, "Man," he said, "everybody, we get to play Trey." And I mean, you could just tell how much they like and love Trey Donaldson, man, and how good of a relationship they got.
He has been outstanding too, and we kind of saw the ceiling potentially with him.
Right.
I hate that it didn't end up being at Auburn, but look, if he was at Auburn,
great player though. Love Trey. Love Trey.
He sometimes it can work out for both parties, and I think this is one of those where I'm not swapping Tahad for Trey.
No.
I'll take the one I got, and then.
Not swapping Denver either.
I'm not swapping Denver for Trey, so I'm not knocking Trey. I'm just saying that sometimes it works out for both parties, and I'll take the ones that we've got that are leading this squad. But back to that question though, I think Auburn and Alabama's path, if you had to go draw it up again, is perfect. I've seen a lot of Michigan State. I think we're a better basketball team. I actually. Michigan, to me, scares me a little bit more because of what they can do from the guard.
Right.
Michigan State's really good too, but Michigan State is a different style of a team that I think we'll be matching up with, and they do have one of the best coaches of our generation in Tom Izzo. But
tells you how hard it is to win a national championship because only won one. Think about how great Tom Izzo is.
So count your blessings, both if you're an Auburn or an Alabama fan, that this path does look doable. to make it into the Final Four. Man, what a storyline that'll be here in the state of Alabama.
Good Lord. No
Oh,
kidding,
my.
man. Unbelievable. Just said St. Mary's missed about 40 open shots within 5 feet. It was atrocious. I mean, look, it just tells you. I know they played out there and they won that conference with Gonzaga, and they have a good program at St. Mary's. I'm not diminishing that, but that was a horrific performance by them. And look, Alabama had a lot to do with that, so I'm going to give them credit. Ole Miss scares me probably the most, the way they're playing. A little bit, but I've seen us play Ole Miss 3 times, and I see how much better we are than them. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't rise up and beat us in a game, because they can. But we've played them 3 times now. Do I want to play a team for the 4th time? No, because the law of averages eventually going to get you. But Padula is their guy, and, he had a good game against us in Oxford, but the other 2 were ugh. And he didn't play real well in the SEC tournament, period. I mean, he hit that one shot there at the end to move on to play us. But outside of that, he's turned it up a notch again, and he's kind of the guy that gets it done for Ole Miss. But, first things first, I don't know. Ole Miss is playing good, and they'll have a big crowd in Atlanta just like we will. So, and then you got a potential of Michigan State. They want to get to play each other, and that's a rival game. So you got all kind of storylines. But I don't know if you need this or not, Randy, but KT Urrell is an assistant coach for Michigan.
I think I saw that in passing. I don't even know that it registered for me, though. But, man, what a great player for Auburn.
Love KT.
Man, I loved it. He was competitive. He kind of had a bad demeanor about him out there on the court.
Right.
I love that. I want my kids that I'm around smiling every once in a while, but every once in a while you want to have that kid that's just got a little bit of extra something about him that there might be a semi screw loose that if you push him in the wrong direction. And Brett Pritchard's one of my best friends, so clearly I like people that's got a little bit of a screw loose from time to time. So
I appreciate it. Thanks for prefacing that. I think most would agree with you on that, though. I resemble that remark, and I take it and I go with it. Let's get on to the other 2 games on Thursday, and then we'll get to Friday. Arizona and Duke. That Arizona-Oregon matchup was a war. But Duke right now is clearly playing the best basketball.
Yeah, I think they're playing better in Florida.
I do
right
too.
now.
Yep.
I think they're the best team that I watch. But I was very impressed with our game the other night. I think that we show, gosh, there's some good teams. Alabama's playing outstanding basketball. Tennessee is
7 SEC teams in the Sweet 16. Never been my Trump impersonation. It's never been done before. We've never seen this before. So.
I think there's 5 or 6 teams, honestly, that have a legitimate shot at winning this thing. I do. And that means the parity is really strong across the game. But, oh, man, Duke's good. Duke's really good, Brett.
They are. And, again, they're over there in Alabama's bracket, and Alabama is a win away from possibly playing them, because I'm going to take Duke over Arizona. Hey, and then what about the Arkansas Razorbacks? Started SEC play 0-5 and now in the Sweet 16. Man, John Calipari, you can say what you want to about the guy. He's turned that program around, and he's got them believing again, and getting Boogie Flan back definitely helps in this run that they're making.
Well, I want to give him some of the credit, but I, more than anything, give him the credit that he's in the SEC. And I think the SEC is just such a meat grinder to get through that if you end up with 20 wins the way that they did, then you're pretty damn good. And I think that's proving itself, as we get into these tournaments and they get pushy and they get tight late. We've been doing that to each other all year.
Yeah.
And I think the discrepancy between the SEC and the other conferences is drastic. Does it mean we win the national title? No, because I think Duke's equal to all of us. But so I do think there's some outliers out there that can match us. But for the most part, what Arkansas is doing, and I've watched both of those games, it's not a surprise. I think they've been the better team in both games they've played so far.
Yeah, they were. I was impressed with the way they played St. John's. All right, on Friday, man, we get 8:39 or approximate tip-off, probably like Jason said yesterday, probably closer to 9 o'clock Central. So drink you a Red Bull and whatever it is that you got to do to stay up. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. But Ole Miss and Michigan State will get it started at 6:09. Boy, that's going to be a good matchup. That place will be rocking. Again, that game will be in Atlanta where Auburn is. So going to be a lot of Ole Miss fans making the trek over to Atlanta.
I bet there will. I saw this tweet yesterday, but it just has the feel that Beard's got Ole Miss trending in the direction that Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl have Auburn and Alabama right now. I mean, you just get that sense that
can they keep him is the question.
He's that good a coach, and he's at a program that's like Auburn. Like, we haven't been very good at that sport, and just give us something we can embrace. That's got to be what's going on at Ole Miss right now. Now they've been really good in football too right now, and I'm not knocking Ole Miss, but I'm saying if you get Ole Miss to a championship caliber in anything, they'll be rabid. And
there ain't no doubt.
Faith doesn't like hearing me say that. She's
probably got an Ole Miss shirt on, Randy.
No, I don't. I knew that y'all were going to.
She's got this random animosity to Ole Miss that we won't get into on there, but they're not as big as some of the teams that are left. But I think their wings are so athletic and so physical that they scare me. But Auburn's found a way to get through them. So if it does end up with us with Ole Miss, I think that's going to be a good matchup. I'm going to go ahead and step aside, let y'all take over. I want to highlight some of the things that the two of you got going on, though. We're really revamping some of the content and some of the programming that we're doing out there and bringing some new programming in, especially on the Auburn side with Faith leading that. So if you're seeing this and you want to be a sponsor or an advertiser with any of our R&B sports media, reach out to Brett or Faith. They'd love to come talk to you and try to find ways that we can partner with you. We're growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, we have gained over 2,000 YouTube subscribers in like 3 weeks. So I don't know what we're doing, but all I can tell you as a business owner is just keep doing it because something's going right when you're doing that. But reach out. Brett's phone number, Faith, I'll let you throw it out there. I don't mind giving Brett's phone number to anybody though. His is 256-794-8223. Give him a call. He'll schedule it up, either get him or Faith out there and they'll talk to you. 2 other businesses that I'll promote here on the Auburn Blitz show is Lee Apparel and Sign Source. We've got a new location over in Auburn that I'll be heading over to shortly. Come by and see us, 256-825-0197. Corporate apparel, custom apparel, tees, promotional products, screen printing, and embroidery. We can handle that. And then Sign Source, we're really growing. We got that new 90-foot lift in this past weekend. That's helping some of the installation projects, big ones that we've got going on here in the state, not only in Georgia, in Alabama, but also in Georgia. But we can start your project with some artwork, produce, assemble your project, and then install it. From start to finish, Sign Source is prepared to handle any sign project you've got. Again, 256-825-0197. I'll step aside, be tuning in. Thank y'all.
See you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Good morning, Faith. What's up? How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. Rocking and rolling this morning, doing a little Sweet 16 preview, and we'll finish it up. The last 2 games, Kentucky and Tennessee. Man, what a atmosphere that's going to be in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium. I mean, you said it earlier. Kentucky just beat them. So,
are you saying I just said that?
Well, you said it yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I think so, yeah. I guess that classifies as earlier,
I thought you meant
My bad.
when you said right now or just
No,
said it.
no.
I was like, wait, I just hopped on.
I should have said yesterday you said that, right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what day it is anyway, so I don't think it really matters.
They just all run together. But Tennessee, Kentucky, an SEC matchup, that place will be packed to the gills. Again, I think Kentucky obviously is playing some of their best basketball right now. Tennessee, they've been Tennessee all year. You know what you're going to get with them. They're a solid number 2, if not a number 1 seed. I know they're a number 2 seed in the tournament, but they could have easily been a number 1 seed. That's a team you don't want to play because of their style. But Kentucky was able to beat them last time, so that's in the back of their mind. They don't want to be eliminated in the Sweet 16. But this is going to be a war, a classic SEC matchup, Faith.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the the smaller the tournament gets, more teams getting knocked out. We started with 14 SEC teams.
Right.
Now we're at 7. And I mean, I don't know how it's going to play out, but obviously we've got Alabama playing. Like, they're not going to be playing an SEC team and probably going to be moving on. I don't want to doubt my
Your poor BYU.
Yeah, I don't want to
Cougars,
doubt
so.
them, but I mean, same with us.
Right.
Like same with Ole Miss. So I don't know how many SEC teams are going to be making it to the Elite 8, and then the final.
Well, let's look at it. I mean, let's look at it. I'm just going to rapidly do this, and you're going to make a pick. Okay, Ole Miss and Michigan State. Does Ole Miss move on?
Okay.
I said rapidly. Here you go. You got to think about everything.
Guys,
I said rapidly.
well, here's the thing. I don't want to play them again, but I will. I had them going out the second game against Iowa State. So,
this didn't work out real well.
Okay.
This
I'll say Michigan State.
Okay, so Ole Miss is out.
Yeah.
So Ole Miss loses. All right. BYU, Alabama.
BYU.
Wow. Okay. Gone. Maryland, Florida.
Florida.
Okay. So one SEC team moves on. Arkansas, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
Oh, gosh. All right. Still only have one. Auburn, Michigan.
Auburn.
2 SEC teams. And obviously one of these has got to go. So Kentucky, Tennessee, you got.
Tennessee.
So 3 SEC teams move on to the elite.
I know. Okay, but like realistically, hear me out. Okay.
I just wanted to play that game to see what you would do.
If my Mormons don't pull through the way that I really want them to,
right,
we'll say Alabama. Okay, so that's 4.
Right,
and then
that's kind of where my mind is going to stop. Is probably around the 4 mark. I think 4 SEC teams get through to the.
So do you think Ole Miss is going to win against Michigan State or no?
I think they're trending up. I think they've got a good chance because of the environment and the way they're playing right now. I don't think Michigan State scares any of these SEC teams that are left. Yeah. So, but Michigan State's 2 seed, and we said that of all the 2 seeds, we probably thought Michigan State was the weakest. So yeah, I think Ole Miss. Man, I didn't have Ole Miss on my bingo card going this deep in the tournament. I didn't.
No, not at all. But I also, I do think they're a beatable team. Like, we've already done it 3 times. Like, I think if they really go, and I've said this, I know Sean Padula is very good, whatever, but he's not played great games against Auburn.
Only the first one in Oxford.
Only the first one.
That's it. Right.
And then what did I say? I said, oh, he almost scored 30 points. If we can shut him down, we'll win by 30 points.
And we did.
And then we won by 30 points. He only scored 10, I think, of the last one, or 9 or something.
Right.
But I think if they can shut him down,
I got a chance. I mean, a big time chance. Well, he is the guy that's really.
He makes things happen. He's
he's the straw that stirs the drink, for lack of a better term. So. He's a guy that you're going to have to watch moving forward, and they're going to have him play well if they're going to move on to the Elite 8. But more than anything, we're worried about Michigan and that matchup against Trey Donaldson. And did you see Chad Baker's reaction? Did you see that in the locker room when they found out that they're playing Trey? That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, wait, before we get too far, we're going to get your reaction.
Okay. Do it.
Or your picks.
Okay.
Auburn, Michigan.
Auburn.
Ole Miss, Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Florida, Maryland.
Florida.
Texas Tech, Arkansas.
I'm going to go upset Arkansas over Texas Tech.
Okay. BYU, Alabama.
Unfortunately, Alabama.
That's crazy. I can't believe you just said that.
I hate
it. And then Kentucky, Tennessee.
I'm going to go with Tennessee there. So I had who did I have going out right there?
What do you mean? Like, out of all the teams?
Yeah. What Ole Miss? I mean, what SEC team did I have going out? You have
Kentucky.
Kentucky. So everybody else. I had Ole Miss going out too. I had Michigan State moving on. So Ole Miss.
Yeah,
and
I had
Ole
Ole
Miss
Miss
and
losing.
Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm good for them. Whatever.
Yep. So, but look, bottom line is Elite Eight. I think the SEC stands a really good chance of legitimately having 4 teams of the 8 left, which when Randy was talking about his bracket, he had Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, and Florida, and all that is still in play. I mean, how wild.
If he sneaks up again this year, I know I wasn't part of it last year, but if he sneaks up again, I'm going to be so mad.
You're going to be mad at him for sneaking up again?
Yeah.
I think
he's like so far behind.
Yeah, I think me and him are out of it. You have a legit chance, but I think he and I are.
Yeah, I'm still ranked 2 with Steven Kranz is first and Brendan Chance and I mean,
there's only like a couple of points.
Brendan and y'all, right? Wayne, we're all tied for second.
There you go. So y'all are right there at the top.
Wayne just said the Mormons are going to get the job done. Thank you, Wayne. I'm loving this.
How about that?
This is a great day. Everybody's going to have the best day now.
Let's see. All right. Ole Miss brought back Alan Flanagan for an extra few games. Yeah, if they did that, Justin, that would be an automatic elimination, 100%. He's my favorite player ever. Kyle said one thing about Michigan State is they have the best coach in the Sweet 16. He's 9-0 versus SEC teams all time in the tournament. He's got potentially 2 more back-to-back this weekend. Yeah, and Kyle, I said it earlier, the crazy thing about that is that Tom Izzo's won 1 national title. Very, very good coach, and it just tells you how hard it is to win a national championship. So John wants to know, so Faith, how do you see the UA-BYU? Did the BYU unis get them past the Tide? He's talking about your picking of uniforms and the way girls pick uniforms and different things, and that's why they do so well in the bracket. Not saying that that's how you picked your teams.
I saw a TikTok or an Instagram reel that was talking about a woman's intuition is just so much better than a man's, and they do all the work and everything, and then the women just pick based on whatever, and their intuition just wins. So personally, I have always had just whatever. I think it's just an interest in the Mormon culture and some of their things. So when it comes to football too, I just really enjoy watching them. And the fact that they've made it this far, obviously I don't want Alabama to win. Hello, come on.
Right.
I would like to see BYU succeed and move on, but did I say that I like their uniforms? I don't think I said that.
No, I think what he's saying is that you brought that up in our bracket reveal show. How everybody, all the guys take all this analysis.
And then the girls are like,
the girls say, I like that uniform, I like that mascot or whatever.
Yeah, no, I just think that they're a very interesting bunch over there. And so I think that's where my interest has sparked. But
I mean, so it's hard to pick brackets, obviously.
Yeah.
And I sent you something yesterday that blew my mind. If you want to know how hard it is to really pick a perfect bracket and why it never happens, I'm going to throw some of these out at people. And you have a better chance at this happening than you picking a perfect bracket, which is 1 in 9.2 quintillion. So picking one specific grain of rice from all the rice ever harvested in human history, winning the Powerball jackpot 3 times in a row, correctly picking one specific person on Earth, and then correctly picking out the specific hair on their head. You have a better chance of doing all of that. Oh, and by the way, and being struck by lightning 5 times than you do picking the perfect bracket. So that is mind-blowing. Now, I don't know who came up with that, and I don't know how. I guess it's all numbers and stuff and odds, but the grain of or the rice thing was mind-blowing, and then picking the particular person and then a particular hair on their head. I mean, that stuff's crazy. So that just tells you how hard it is. So I applaud all of you at the top of our bracket challenge, even though you're not perfect, but to get close and to be up there as good as some of you are, a la Faith and Steven and everybody else that's at the top of our bracket challenge, hey, good job. That's all I can tell you. It's hard.
I don't know how. In one of my other brackets, I went from like 8,000 to 22 after just one game. And I'm shocked at how easy it is to just move back. Like my one roommate made like 7 brackets.
Right.
And I only made 3, but I don't know. I'm sure some people have so much time to just make so many. Maybe not a quintillion.
1 in 9.2 quintillion.
That is crazy.
1 in 9.2 quintillion. You have the
odds. And a quintillion is what, 2 billion or something like that?
I'll let you look that up for us.
A billion billion.
A billion. You know how, I mean, you can't even fathom that. It's just so
Can I
crazy.
Count to a billion? I don't know.
I don't know. Do you want to try? I'll let you try. I'll go ahead and talk about some of our partners on the program while you try to count to a billion if you would like to do that.
No.
All right, let's look at some of our partners. Had a phone call coming in. I mean, Come on, man. Sense of Green, for air that's cool and clean, call them Sense of Green. They are the carrier experts here in the state of Alabama. Proud supporters of Auburn athletics and the Auburn Blitz podcast. We appreciate them so much. Scout Program Management, a full-service construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, taking you from the start of your project to the finish. Call on Scout Program Management. They'll take care of everything you need for your project. And then Bunkers in downtown Auburn. Faith and I love that place. Great food, great atmosphere. Official home of March Madness right here in downtown Auburn. So go check them out. If you can't make it over to Atlanta, you need to be at Bunkers this weekend, or actually starting Thursday as the Sweet 16 gets underway. And so we'll talk some more about some of our other partners here in just a little bit. But again, can't say enough about all of them. And please go out and support them as they allow us to be able to come on here each and every day and do this podcast with you. All right, so Faith, let's shift over and real quick before we shift over to football. Over 700 players yesterday got in the transfer portal. Yesterday was the official start of the transfer portal for Division I or for basketball, period. And so 700 entries into the portal. When you look at some of the guys that Auburn might be looking at, one that rose to the top yesterday is Owen Freeman, the center for Iowa. And, he's number 1 in the transfer portal as far as centers go. And I think he's number 5 overall. But Auburn's going to be trying to replace Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell. So going to be looking for a big guy, if not 2 big guys, to come in and fill that role. So we won't dive a lot into that because we'll have plenty of time to talk about, potential transfers and all that kind of stuff. We're worried about the tournament right now and Michigan, but just did want to bring that up because that kind of rose up to the top. And me and you talked about that yesterday. You actually told me about it in the car when we were on the road yesterday. And so, yeah, he's definitely going to be a target for Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I just think it's crazy obviously this is a record high of how many people entered the transfer portal on the first day. I feel like that happens literally every single year. But the only difference, I guess, this year compared to some of the other days or other transfer portal windows is this year it's only 30 days rather than the 45. But it's the same in basketball as it is football, where it's kind of you're an employee, with the NIL.
I think it crosses over the same way. I don't think there's anything that's different from sport to sport. And again, you got that that time frame that you can get in, but the transfer if you want to transfer to another school and you want to get enrolled in time, I mean, there really is no such thing. I mean, it's just a unofficial opening for people to say they can get in, and but technically you can transfer once you get done with a semester and you want to move on to play somewhere else. We've already seen it happen in football. So we'll move on to football. Spring football practice really gets going today. And Coach Freeze has a press conference at 10 o'clock this morning, which is in just about an hour and 20 minutes. You and I are excited. We got some big news this week coming up, and especially Friday. And I think I'm going to unveil it on here Friday. So exciting news regarding you, Faith. And so we will bring that up on Friday. We'll release that for everybody. But we got some really cool things coming up with Auburn Athletics, and we're excited that we're going to be able to be over and really cover Auburn with, from our perspective. And, we appreciate, and love Jason Caldwell and 24/7, and they're still going to, Jason's still going to be part of what we do here, but looking forward to, some opportunities for us, Faith, and what we're going to be able to do moving forward, and the great people in Auburn Athletics. And, we've kind of already teased your feature that's going to be coming out. And, we're looking forward to catching up with Cooper McMurray and your first edition of On the Front Row with Faith Richardson. I'm excited about that. Can't wait to see what you bring to the table there, and getting to get up close and personal with all these student athletes, and and all the sports, from gymnastics to softball to volleyball to swimming and diving to track and field to football. We name them all, but you're going to hit them all. And we're going to feature a lot of different student athletes and go at it from a different angle than maybe, the standard, hey, how'd you perform? What your stats are and all that kind of stuff. We want to learn a lot more about the person that they are and how they got there.
Yeah, just diving deeper beyond the surface of what everybody kind of knows, and know that they're still a student right now during this time. And kind of majority of the time I've heard how grateful they are to have this opportunity and be a part of the Auburn family. So just getting a little deeper than just kind of what everybody knows. It's not as interesting catching up with them and hearing numbers and telling them what they kind of already know, or kind of sometimes what they don't care about as much. There's something majority of the time that they're more passionate about. So I'm excited to get that all started and let everybody kind of get in on their lives as well as us. So I'm excited.
Yep, I'm excited too. I get to be the guy on the other side of the camera for a change. So I'm perfectly fine with that. It's going to be fun. Football. We just talked about, Coach Freeze having that press conference. KLS, I thought it was pretty cool what he said. He watched the wide receivers a couple of days ago, and he told them, about to be the best in the country. He said it was amazing. They looked different. They looked confident. And, I'll say this, and he said they're going to run college football. You and I said this the other day when we were going through the roster and doing our own spring preview. All of these guys that Auburn had to rely on outside of KLS last year was pretty much freshmen. And Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons, and I know Robert Lewis wasn't. He was a transfer, but, really Malcolm took a lot of his reps midway through the season. You didn't see a lot of Robert Lewis, and Sam Jackson was brought in to be a part, and he didn't really get much playing time. It was the freshmen. It was Malcolm Simmons and it was Cam Coleman, and Perry Thompson. We didn't see any of him really, and Bryce Kane, so they'll be back. But you had Eric Singleton and Horatio Fields and some of these young guys that are coming in with this group, which I think are going to make a splash and fight for some playing time. What KLS is saying is those guys had to learn on the fly in the hardest conference in the country. Now they're a year older. Now they're seasoned. And you said it, I think when we were talking about that, it's hard to believe that you say a sophomore is a seasoned vet, but that's what you get now in college football because of the transfer portal and just playing time in general. So you really do feel like
it's not what you get anymore because you're picking up people that are juniors, seniors, that are either redshirted or.
I'm just saying from a standard of keeping a guy from one year to the next, even if he's young, even though he's a sophomore, you feel like he's a veteran in this world now because you kept him for 2 years.
Right. Yeah. If you keep him at the same school, that is impressive.
But you're right too, that the fact is everybody's coming and going. You don't know what your room's going to look like, a la the quarterback room for Auburn this year.
Right. You're not looking for, a high school kid when half the time you can go and find somebody that has already stepped foot on the playing field before. And you can pay them money to come to your school because what you're going to pay somebody right out of high school when you haven't watched them play at the collegiate level before. Why? That is showing the development of not only the athlete, but also the coaching staff and the older guys coaching them up too, because they know. And so keeping the both of them, or I guess all of them, that frees for even some of the ones that didn't play as much, but keeping them so that they can learn and grow too is at this point in today's world impressive.
Be leery for what you ask. Sometimes you might get it, and it has impacted the way freshmen get recruited and high school seniors get recruited. If you are not a superstar stud, you may drop down a few notches. That D1 offer or that top tier school that you may have gotten an offer from 5 years ago may not be available for you now in 2025 or 2026 and moving forward because of the transfer portal. Right. Because think about the immediate impact that Eric Singleton's going to have. KLS was a veteran, one of the best receivers in the country last year that we got from Penn State. Well, he exits stage right. Auburn goes out and replaces. And I'm not saying they play the exact same position, but he exits stage right and Singleton moves in and takes over in that veteran role, and already a proven guy. Well, there's no doubt that possibly took away a spot that would have gone to a incoming high school senior. So there's your point made right there.
I'm right there with you. John, yes, he started at Stanford for, I guess, 2 years. Ashton Daniels.
Did he start?
Yeah, he started.
He was the starter?
Last year he started 10 of the 12.
He started 10 of the 12. Okay, yeah. I knew it was kind of up and down. I didn't know exactly how many games it was that he started, but all right. So going back and some of the assistant coaches had a chance to catch up with the media yesterday, and again, with it being the start of spring football practice officially today. Where everybody gets in there and you're not in separate groups. Let's start with the QB coach Ken Austin, and I think that's where everybody's mind and eyeballs are going to be. And so it just seems like that Jackson Arnold's going to be given the benefit of the doubt to start. But this is what he said. He said he's probably ahead. As far as, where we would like him to be right now. But when you go out in the transfer portal, and one of the things that I looked at yesterday, Faith, after I read these quotes, is how good of an ending to the season Jackson Arnold had. Once Luttrell left, offensive coordinator, and he was benched prior to our game coming in, he finished the season with 7 touchdowns and no interceptions. And I think he ran for 364 yards in those last games. And his completion percentage went way up. So he struggled at the beginning of the year, but came in and, he had that really good game against Alabama. He didn't throw it a lot, but he ran the ball really well and led them to that win. So he's going to get the benefit of the doubt going into spring football as being the guy because he fits the mold. But I will say, Deuce Knight, Ken Austin had a lot of great things to say about him. He says he's smart, he prepares, he's really gifted physically. He can make some throws that other guys can't make at his age right now. Those two guys are getting all the reps. They're getting a lot of the work right now. So look, we know it's going to be a QB competition, and let the best guy win. That's what we want. So, but Auburn's got a completely revamped quarterback room, like he said. Everybody left, so we're trying to get everybody acclimated at one time.
Yeah, that's. I mean, hearing that Deuce is still keeping up with Jackson Arnold and that we've heard ever since he came in that he doesn't look like a freshman.
Right.
I'm excited to really go and watch how the both of them fit in with this offense.
Yeah, no doubt.
And like we've been just talking about before with Cam Coleman, coach, the wide receiver coach, Marcus Davis, he was saying that going into year two, you can tell how comfortable he is and how he's really acclimated to what's going on. And again, as a sophomore, that's crazy because he's 19, maybe 20 years old.
Right.
And again, seasoned at that age. So hearing that he's been able to get coached up and know kind of what's going on at his age is impressive. And what we saw from him last year, we can expect more from him this year.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm just excited. You got, two guys that I think bring really good skill sets to the table that are going to be competing for this starting job, and the wide receivers that they're going to be throwing to. Faith, let's be honest, our passing game lacked in the last couple of years, and that was the thing that we talked about with Coach Freeze, that we just, he pushed all the chips into the table on Peyton Thorne last year, and we thought Auburn may go out and get a transfer portal quarterback, going into last season, and they didn't. And, I hate to say it, and, maybe he was that confident in Peyton Thorne, but it just didn't work out. And immediately we were in a quarterback controversy last year in the first couple of weeks because Peyton Thorne did not perform up to standard. So we were moving Hank Brown in and starting him and then putting Peyton Thorne back in. And, by then all the damage had been done. So can we just please settle on a guy? And I think we're a year behind on the move that should have been made, but I'm just glad we finally made it. And I think we've got two really, really good options there. Not sliding Ashton Daniels at all, but I mean, let's just be honest. I think these two guys were brought in to be the main two competitors for the start position.
Yeah, we're going to put last year behind us and
rear view mirror.
Yep. And just keep going with this year.
So a lot of freshmen are going to be, have a lot of eyes on them today. And again, the viewing window is not going to be very big, but we'll continue to get notes out of that. And you and I will actually be going over to practice some throughout spring and covering A-Day as well. So looking forward to it. Going to be a lot of fun. And we'll continue to give you updates every day on spring football here on the Auburn Blitz podcast. I want to thank some more of our partners here on the program. Sure Shot. It is turkey season. How about that? It is here. And boy, it feels good outside. It was a little cold yesterday, a little gloomy. Faith and I were on the road shooting another show, but the sun's out today. It's beautiful. It's springtime. Go to Sure Shot for all your firearms, all your apparel, all your ammo. They got the Browning sale going on, 10% off any Browning firearm right now. Need to go take advantage of that. 256-329-0080 to call ahead if you've got a question about something. But all the new turkey hunting apparel is out. So make sure you go grab you some new turkey gear. And then Oliver Ross, full service bartending company that will send out licensed and trained bartenders for your party of 20 up to 20,000. And that's not an exaggeration. They can handle that big of a function. So call on Oliver Ross. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook. We really appreciate them. Don't spill all the stuff in the floor and look like an idiot. Call on Oliver Ross, and you'll be glad that you did. Faith, again, it's a very busy time for us. You and I, yesterday, going over our schedule, we were like, good Lord, how much time do we have? Can we add a few more hours to the day? But we're going to try to cram it all in for sure. But, been a lot of fun. And, again, want to tell everybody we got a really big announcement coming up on Friday, so you want to make sure you tune us in. Tune us in every day, of course. But we have a big announcement coming up on Friday, and it'll be game day for Auburn in the Sweet 16, and be getting ready for turkey hunting on Saturday. I mean, we just got so much going on. So we appreciate all our partners out there, Sense of Green, Scout Program Management, Bunkers, your official home for March Madness, Sure Shot, and Oliver Ross here on the Auburn Blitz podcast. Faith and I will get out of here, everybody. We hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. Make the most of it out there. Have a safe time and a big O.
War Eagle.